And welcome back to day 6 of Survivor 46 and 46. I just finished watching Survivor the Amazon. The reunion is playing in the background. Jenna just won against Crazy Matt, and I have opinions on all of that. Today I'm joined by legend of the live reality game community, Alex. Alex, thank you for joining us today and getting right into it because we're right around the same age. Did you watch Amazon Live, and what were your thoughts initially when it came out, and how they changed throughout the years?
I did watch it live, but I feel like I didn't quite. Maybe I missed some episodes the first time. It didn't quite. I feel like it was in that time period where I think I wasn't a big fan of the last couple seasons, and I think my Survivor fandom was dying down a little bit, and then it came back. I feel like with Pearl Islands, I feel like maybe a lot of people felt the same way. So I didn't get the full effect of Survivor Amazon until my rewatch of it, which was years later. I now own it on DVD, and it's one of my favorite seasons. But yeah, the initial time I didn't quite get it. I think Survivor Thailand. I was not a fan of that, and that sort of that like affected my experience of Survivor Amazon a little bit the first time.
No, and I get that, because coming into today, for some reason, I was not looking forward to Amazon just because of how horrible Thailand was yesterday. That it just kind of sucked the life out of everything. And so I immediately started picking up on negatives first with Amazon, which I don't normally do. And the first thing that I noticed, and it took me 6 days for me to get to this point, it's like, wow, not HD sucks. And it's very, the fact that there is no HD in this season really stands out compared to the first 5, and I think it might be because where they're at. But yeah, I started
more seasons of no HD. Get ready.
No, by this time 2 weeks from now, I should be in the HD seasons roughly. Yeah, so it started off very slow for me, and it didn't help that, I'm not one of these people that say, oh yeah, things didn't date well. Like, I actually thought that a lot of the stuff that was being said was funny for when it was. It was just more of I couldn't latch on to almost anyone except for Rob. And I think that's the problem that the season has kind of run into down the line of, once the appeal of, oh man, this guy's doing something different, of swapping alliances and having over 100 confessionals. Once that allure, went away, I feel like this season has now started to drop on a lot of people's lists. For me personally, it's in my top 12. I'll see how I feel about it after it's all done. But I think this is one of those seasons where once you watch it a few times, like, okay, I get it, but the rewatchability, I feel like has maybe gone away from this season. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's never gotten old for me. I feel like I may have seen this season more than any other season. And you mentioned Rob. I love Rob. That's a big reason why I love it. But I also love Dina. And I feel like a lot of people sleep on Dina. She's amazing. I feel like if Rob maybe wasn't on this season, maybe more people would talk about Dina, because she was so great. And I think it's a shame that we never got to see Dina come back, because she was so good. She was ahead of her time. Did Alex like Alex?
Did you like Alex?
I think Alex in Amazon is the only Survivor player named Alex, if I'm not mistaken.
No. There's Alex from.
There's another Alex. He was the first Alex.
The first Alex, yeah.
The first Alex, and I didn't dislike him, but I did not think he was a good player. I think he was a likable character, and I think that he made the season more fun. I really enjoyed his arc.
And he left at the right time.
I was a Rob fan. Yeah, and the episode where he leaves is like one of my all-time favorite Survivor episodes. It's so good. Such a great moment for Rob. He won immunity that episode, I believe, and that was like, and he totally switched the game. Swapped alliances like that, and I don't know. I just love the way he plays. Yeah.
And going off of what you mentioned earlier about Dina, in my opinion, was the second best player overall this season. And I think that her hubris probably got in the way the episode that she went home, because she had this moment of, yeah, I'm in control. The fact that, I think Heidi or Jenna were sitting there saying that Dina had told them that she had Rob wrapped around her finger. The fact that she's having confessionals where she's saying, I'm in control now, this, that, and the other, now that Roger's gone. I think, and the fact that she tried to immediately go after Alex, which Rob does, almost right afterwards.
Yeah.
I feel like Dina had a good grasp of what was going on. She latched on, or vice versa. She had the younger girls come with her and understood, okay, that's what they're going to do to get people on our side, and this is what I'm going to talk to Rob. They're going to flirt with these people, and we're going to make this. And when she makes that deal with Rob and says, hey, it's me, you, and Jenna, final three, and Rob's just like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I do feel like Dina more than, and we're going to get to that at the end of this episode of people that should have been brought back, whatever. I think that Dina would be at the head of that list because she had such a strategic outlook on the game. She was really good socially, and she was good physically. And I feel like that's something that, this cast is, we have a lot of characters that we remember, I guess, but it's not one of these casts where it's like I was begging for most people to come back. Like even the Heidi Jenna thing, it was just more of a, yeah, they come back if they're cute, but like, am I begging for them to come back? So, do you think that this cast holds up against a lot of these earlier seasons? Let's just say 1 through 10.
It's tough because I guess if you say what makes a good cast, because am I dying to see a lot of them come back? Not necessarily, but do I think they all worked really well together? I do. I really do. And like I don't know. I just love the season so much, and so maybe my view is different, but I just love all the dynamics. I felt, and I'm even a fan of Shauna. Like her story arc, how she went from sort of wanting to quit the game and they refused to vote her out, and then she wants to stay, and then they do vote her out. I just Shauna added so much to the season. Like I never want to see her come back. We got all we need from
She
Shauna.
played her role,
but she was fantastic, and I loved watching her.
So I've been live tweeting as I watch, and I think earlier today I tweeted something like, "Oh, Shauna complains about this, that, and the other," and then Alex shows up, and I have a GIF of Grandpa Joe getting out of bed and dancing and everything. It's like, yes, that's exactly what it was, and it's funny because Jenna was kind of leading towards that same story arc of like one episode she's just like, yeah, I think it's the penultimate episode. It's like I want to go. No, 2 episodes. Anyway, I want to go, blah, blah, blah. And, the guys decide we're going to keep Jenna because Heidi's heart is more into it. And if we get rid of her, it's basically the Natalie Anderson strategy from San Juan del Sur of, okay, we're going to keep Missy. We're going to keep Missy and get rid of Baylor because Missy's hurt and can't do anything in the challenge. And I think that was the right move on that trio's part. Is just that Jenna,
the information that they had at the time, it like I think anyone would logically say Heidi has the better chance of going on an immunity run. They did not think Jenna, but I feel like Jenna, she just came alive after that.
And in 2 challenges where like that final 4. I feel like that was a anyone could win that, and I feel like the fact that Jenna won that, okay, let's get rid of Butch now. That's the easy vote. Let's just get rid of Butch. I think that final 3 challenge where Matt is sitting there saying maybe I should throw this. I do believe that he did in fact throw it, because I do feel like either one of them would have taken him. And what stands out to me is when Probst is asking Jenna, do you want to take the easy way or the hard way? And she's like, I want to take the hard way. I want to take the best. I'm just like, no, that's not true. that can't be true because you're taking Matt, who, we're going to talk about Matt a little bit. But in that situation, the fact that both of you said that Rob deserved to be sitting in your spot shows that you thought that Rob was the better competitor. So why do you think that she's in that moment? It doesn't matter if you lie or not because you're already there.
I think she's sort of is trying to have her cake and eat it too, where she definitely wants to go up against Matt, and she definitely thinks that he's easier to beat. But it's not absurd, I think, of her to try to phrase it like she's going up against the better player, and I think
Yeah,
that makes her look good that she's doing that. And I think the fact that Matt, he gave up the reward for the family
yeah.
reward, and he gave it up. I think that made him seem like a possibly someone that would be hard to beat because of that nice gesture. But I also think he also had all this baggage of just being completely out of his mind, um, and so I think you could say, oh, he's a goat, but you could also like, I don't think it was absurd when she said that, but I think
Oh,
deep down she knew that he was going to be easier to beat than Mark.
to beat. And I watching it this time around, I felt for Matt because I just kept thinking Mike Turner of Matt sitting there saying, I played with honor, integrity, this, that, and the other, and really not grasping the fact that these people are not looking at him this way because of shadier things that he may have done, or at least that he was a part of. And I just kept thinking of Mike when he's getting called out of that final tribal, of like him realizing, oh man, I probably haven't played this honest game that I have been preaching to everyone. I'm not saying that they're exact same player. I just kept getting Mike Turner memories in my head watching it this time around. Is that a fair comparison before I move on?
Yeah. I mean, it's different, but I think it's fair. Yeah, I think Matt. I think he's a good guy, but he just didn't really know how the game. He was just figuring out the game. He didn't really know what he was doing, and he was figuring
Yeah.
it out as he went. And I think a big problem for him was his lack of self awareness, and I think that hurts a lot of people.
Yeah. And I mean, they bring it up during the reunion where Jeff is like, hey, was this an act? And, Matt's saying, yeah, some of it I kind of played up a little bit. But I do feel like just based off how he was performing at Final, I do feel like he is more of I don't think he's crazy Matt, but I do think that he is more of a low energy type person because
Yeah,
I was, as he talked, I was like, these people are not, you're not selling anything to them. They're just kind of like you're just kind of there. And it's not like Jenna was doing that much better, but I think that because they were expecting a little more out of, I guess, both of them,
sure.
because I feel like Jenna already had Dina's vote. I feel like Jenna already had, I mean, obviously she had Heidi's vote. I feel like outside of Butch, Matt could have at least swung a one or two, maybe. But I just think the way he performed, it was just like it wasn't where he wanted.
Yeah. I think going into Tribal, Jenna was probably already winning, but then afterwards she was winning by even more.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first all and out blowout in the history of the show. I think the most recent one was, or it was 5-2 Ethan. So we get 6-1 here, and we go into Pearl Islands tomorrow, which I'm stoked for before we get into All Stars. But once
I
again,
love,
I'm going to
I
try to
love
avoid talking about All Stars.
Um, yeah. I love the first few episodes of All Stars, so look forward to that. Anyway, I was very confused by Christie's vote, and
Me
I
too.
still am. It's always been a little confusing. I feel like there were rumors where people said that Christie didn't hear the directions or voted the wrong way, but then other people have said no, that's not true.
Yeah, I think that's just rumors. I do feel like she voted for Jenna on purpose.
Yeah,
And it does confuse me because Jenna kind of runs into the Brian Heidick problem this season of Brian is never really like, he doesn't have a protagonist story arc in his season. Like there's not much positive content that he's getting. And I feel like that's the same with Jenna until maybe the final four, where a lot of the stuff is just, it comes off as like her and Heidi being spoiled, or her and Heidi kind of shunning certain folks, or her and Heidi saying bad things about folks. And then all of a sudden, Final Four, when she becomes the underdog, they start filming it in a way where it's like, hey, we want you to root for her now. And the problem is, because we've been trained, whatever that means, at this point to root against her, I'm still kind of rooting for Rob, Matt, and Butch because I don't like the way that she's being portrayed treating Christy. So what were your thoughts on Jenna's, I guess, story arc, but also her edit?
yeah. No, I agree, but I do like complex characters. Like in real life, we are all complex people, and
Complex,
it's
yes.
like you're like, oh, I like when she does this. I don't like when she does this. also the fact that she seemed like she wanted to quit at one point during
Yeah.
the season, and it's like, wow. And then that person won. I mean, on one hand, it's like, oh wow, how can someone who's going to quit win? But on another hand, it's sort of like, oh wow, look how inspirational this story is. You should never quit because hey, you could still win. They're like, don't give up. That's the lesson. Um, I don't know. I love her arc, but I also, even every rewatch, I'm still rooting for Rob to win.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe this time I watch and
Maybe, yeah. I was the same way watching the endurance challenge, and it's like maybe this time Rob actually stays and like he wins this time, and maybe I've just been living a fever dream for however many years it's been, almost 20. But no, he falls, he goes home, and I think that Rob, there are a few people in these first 10 seasons that I feel like understood what everything that this game was about. I think Richard Hatchett, obviously, because I mean, Rob and Chris from Vanuatu. I think those three people really understood what this is and how we're going to get from point A to point Z at the end. And two of those people won the game, and Rob came as close as he could. And I think this is a fun version of the rise and fall of a villain, because he never comes off as evil. He just comes off as someone that's playing a different game than everybody else. I would compare it to like the rise and fall of Russell Hands in Samoa, but I'm cheering for that to happen. In
no, this is
Amazon,
more of
I'm
a
not.
tragedy. This is more of a tragedy.
Yeah, this is more of a it's more of a tragedy of because the entire time it's just like Rob's winning this, right? There's no way that he doesn't. He's been the narrator. He's been a part of every blindside at the merge. He keeps getting in people's good graces, after he flips on them. He's got a surefire way to the end as long as Jenna doesn't get there. If Jenna gets there, then he's probably going home. And even Matt says, I might cut Rob before at Final 3. He says, I might cut Rob. But I think it's such a great story, like Rob's story from beginning to end, that when he his final words, and it's like, yeah, that's Rob's will always be one of my two favorite non-winners, it's because of this season, because it's not because of All Stars. I loved him in All Stars, and I felt horrible, but also I think he needed to get out of there early to avoid.
He got put on a bad tribe.
Yeah, to avoid the mess of All Stars.
What a rough tribe to be on in a season. Well, now that we're talking about All Stars, but I just really quick want to say it's like they're voting out all the winners, and he's on a tribe without any winners, and he gets treated like a winner. And he also,
that point the greatest player to never win at that point. So like he has that hanging on over his head. They got rid of people like Colby and Jerry too, because they had this aura about them going into 8. And I feel like Rob, more than almost anyone else during these first 6 seasons, is the main character of the show. Like, I feel like going into 8, if you get rid of winners and maybe Colby and Jerry, Rob is the guy. Rob is the target going into whatever returnee season that they're having. Talking about some of the other characters, what was your opinion on Joanne?
Oh, Joanne, man, pre-merge. You just watched it, and I like I said, I've watched it a lot. You give me your opinion first before I.
So I know a lot of folks like Joanne, these very zealots. I know zealots. And it was so funny when they won the idol and she refused to touch it because she was like that into her beliefs. I'm always going to root for, people of color or whatever, but like this, going from Thailand where I couldn't root for Ted and coming into this where it's like, I can't root for this woman. She's off her rocker. She's crazy. But I think that on that women's tribe that, before the swap, I do think she is a fun character compared to people like Jean and others.
Yeah, I would agree that she's a fun character, and I believe so. When she gets voted out, I think is that the vote out where Shauna wants to go home.
Shauna wants to go home. Yep.
Shauna wants to go home, and but instead they voted to join. And I liked that result. I liked Dina's decision to do that. I thought that was a good decision for Dina, and I thought that was the best move in her game. But I really like in the beginning, the women's tribe. It's sort of like the the older women and the younger women, or they call themselves. They're like the pretty girls, and the older women have a
Yeah.
problem with that. But
Which
I
is
like. Oh, what were we gonna say?
well, going back to Dina. I mean, it's not like Dina was old, but she was, I think, mid to late 30s at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then
And
older, not old. Yeah,
yeah, but Dina is good with the younger women, and she's over here too. And I think that's a prime example of what you were saying earlier of her being one of the best players on the season.
yeah, and it's very interesting because I feel like Rob is in a similar position on his tribe, sort of with the younger guys and the older guys. And it's interesting that Rob initially he sides with the older guys, but I think they both have this great flexibility and they're very great socially, where they could work with anyone, you know, and so they're both able to decide who they want to vote for, and they figure out what's best for their game, and work on their pathway to the end together. And yeah, so yeah, to me, Dina is like the Rob of the women's.
Of the women's tribe. I think that's a very great comparison. And I don't know why it took me till this. This is, I think, my fifth or sixth time watching this season. And I don't know why it took me until today to realize that, that is the case. Dina, if she hadn't had so much hubris in her boot episode, and of course we don't see everything, blah blah blah, but from what we were shown, it seems like she got too big for her britches too early, and I think that's what ultimately led to her demise. Roger will be very tactful because I know he recently passed or within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, people weren't vibing.
Great boot episode. Great boot
Great
episode.
boot episode. We'll get to the chocolate and peanut butter of it all. But I think that was one of those episodes, and it's not very common in these first few seasons, where all the strategy talk, everyone knows going to tribal, as fans, that Roger's going home. Like, there is no, oh, it might be this and it might be that. It's like, no, we know what's going to happen. Just more, we don't, votes are going to go the other way. I think they went Christie that episode. But yeah, Roger just, it was, he started off hot with his opinions on gay marriage just in general. It got worse when people started saying things like, oh yeah, Roger won't vote for a woman, Roger's sexist, this, that, and the other. And it gets to a point where I think Heidi and Jenna, this is one of their first big moments. They're going to Dina saying, hey, I know you want to get rid of Dave, but wouldn't it be smarter to get rid of Roger, because Roger's not going to vote for any of us if we sit at the end. And I think that's when, if you're looking for reasons why Jenna won or whatever, even though you win because you win, if you're looking for reasons why Jenna won, I do think that is a move on her and Heidi's part, of reading the room.
Yeah. Although also, I think everyone, based on, you just watched it, but I feel like everyone was sort of tired of Roger at that point.
Yes.
So everyone was just happy to get rid of him, and even some of his own alliance members were, I think
Dave and Butch are the only two that voted with him. So it was everyone on Roger.
Yeah. But it made for such a good episode, and I loved the editing of that episode, and I love that we knew that it was coming. Every episode doesn't need to be a surprise. Sometimes it's fun to know and fun to just see it all play out. And seeing everyone vote for him, it just was very satisfying.
It was. Trust me. Anytime I watch it, it's just like, all right, I'm glad Roger's gone. We can move on.
And then
to Dave.
The hope is that the experience could have been a lesson for him, maybe.
For him. Oh, and in his final words, he even says, like, I knew that if I was going to lose the game, it was going to be because, of something that I did. And it's like, I mean, yeah, that's true. But then he says, I don't think any of them outplayed me or whatever the other one is, because he said whatever the phrase was. So we get to chocolate and peanut butter. We get to the endurance challenge at the merge. And I feel like that's one moment in the season that people, like even casuals, that's the one with Heidi and Jenna taking off their clothes. What do you remember about this scene way back when? And do you think it has aged well?
Yeah, I don't know if it's aged well. I'm never good with the age well thing. I would say probably not, but I don't know. But what was weird about I just remember being so weird to be like that could be a rule where, like, you're making deals with Jeff Probst, be like, hey, if I take off my clothes, will you like give me food? Like, I'm like, how is that part of the? How is that?
Well, especially because all he has to do is offer you the food. You can jump off.
Well, you'd be like, hey, I would jump off this pole for chocolate and peanut butter. Like, why did it go to that? Like, I feel like there was parts edited out. I don't know how it came to that, and that came out of nowhere. But it was fully, like, I think it was Jenna who came up with that.
Yeah.
Like, that deal and that thing. But it made for a classic TV moment, and maybe that was part of the thinking behind it of making this great Survivor television moment.
It also could have been strategic because they were very much using sex appeal, Jenna especially, and everyone knew it, and I feel like they knew it, and still people like bought into it. So I do think there was some form of strategy with them doing that, because there was no real reason for them to take the clothes off in that situation.
Yeah. It didn't make any sense.
So question, if you knew that Roger wouldn't vote for a woman, and y'all being guys, wouldn't it be more beneficial for you to keep Roger? It could be guaranteed a vote. I think that because a lot of the guys annoyed, like Rob was not vibing with them. We knew Alex wasn't vibing with them. And Matt at that point was just riding with Rob. I don't think that they even thought about that. It's like, okay, we still don't need Roger here.
Well, I would want people to vote for me at the end because I played a good game, and not because I'm a guy. But I also think that maybe trying to keep someone that wouldn't vote for a woman would also be a great reason for a lot of people to not vote for you if they knew that that's what you were doing. Like that.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like a great move. That's not a good gameplay move probably to do that. You'll lose other votes.
I don't think there is I mean, being out there, the problem is I would just jump off for the food. Like I wouldn't take my clothes off. If
I don't know. I feel like you need to be probably in that mindset of being out there for a long time and being starving. And
I agree.
And having
I would jump for the food, but I wouldn't take my clothes. Yeah.
This craving, because what they did is they got that specific food by doing that, whereas otherwise they just would have got whatever food he was bringing out, and they were able to make it specific. But I feel like I would want more than what they got probably for that, because it didn't seem like a lot, and I think I would probably want maybe protein. Like, I would want I don't know, like a full meal would be nice.
Yeah, give me a plate of spaghetti and we're good. Like a full plate of spaghetti, and we'll call it. I'll take my clothes off. I'll jump in.
But I don't think if we did it, it would be as good a TV moment.
Oh no, it's not great. I have a fat belly, and I'm balding, and so moving on.
Are people going to make offers for us to do it in this podcast?
Yeah, in the podcast. If you Venmo me this much,
or just Uber Eats me something.
Amazon is one of these seasons where I think we've had two people come back, unless I'm mistaken. I think we've had two people come back.
Jenna.
And Rob and Jenna, yes. I feel like people forget about a lot of. I feel like people remember the chocolate peanut butter and they remember Rob Sesternino. For you, what are some of the moments, not necessarily the characters, some of the moments that like have withstood the test of time that you can sit there and be like, great. Oh, you said episode, the final 7 episode.
But
What
yeah, the
else?
Prime Seven. I love. Uh, I also love. I think the beginning of that episode when they there's this really well edited sequence where they talk about like the chain and
Yeah, yeah. Where Rob's telling,
it's almost like he's like a secret agent, and Rob's sending Matt on missions. Like it's the funniest thing.
and Butch
I,
is giving a confessional. It's like we've got like this thing going, and it's like, oh, you poor thing.
chain. Yeah, he's explaining. It's like a chain, and you always want to be attached to the chain. And like when they're talking about the missions and they're talking about things, and it's like so secretive, and he's giving them intel, and they really feel like spies. Like I don't know,
They
I
got
don't know if
spy
it's
music playing in the background.
Survivor season, I've had there are moments where like they're acting like spies, and they're in like a movie, and I love that so much. The other moment that comes to mind would be the fire, that big fire.
Yeah,
Because
and we're gonna.
it's a huge thing, and that always stands out to me, and how
Jenna
like
loses her
they had a
crown,
lot of
her
things,
Zeta crown,
important things get burned.
like
And
her Zeta crown. Yes.
yes, yeah, she's very upset about that. And then the Magic 8 Ball gets burnt too. Also, I miss the luxury items. I miss the luxury items.
Me
Those
too.
are always fun because it's fun to like associate players with their luxury
With their items.
Like I don't remember everyone's luxury item, but like there's some that are like very memorable, and that was one.
So, fun fact about luxury items, and I was when I was doing my research for Thailand yesterday, I just forgot to bring it up. John, first boot John from Thailand, his luxury item was the Christian flag, which I didn't even know existed. And I had to look it up, and it's exactly what you would think a Christian flag would look like.
Oh boy,
That has nothing to do with this. It's just something that I forgot to bring up yesterday.
they did.
This is the first season where they do the challenge that they also do in South Pacific. I kind of sat on my phone during that challenge because it's for some reason that's what makes me sick. I don't mind the gross food eating challenge. Like that's always been fine with me. But watching people tear it, I don't know. I can't do it. The twist. The twist. I think of the 3 men versus women seasons, I right now I put this at number 2.
Well, for me,
Behind
number one.
behind Vanuatu.
Number one.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I feel like it was a fun concept. I'm glad that neither tribe steamrolled each other, and I'm glad that we did have a final 2 of one person from each tribe. And the game, more than any other season to this point, was so fluid that tribal basically meant shit, and I think because of how it started, and when you swap, you get people that you actually want to work with. Going into the merge, you get Rob and Dina being able to bond together to go into that merge, keep people from both their sides, and going in. The game becomes more fluid, and I think that we don't really see that big of fluid gameplay like this. Obviously, the first 5 seasons, we have 2 Pagongings in 1 and 5. We have fluid-ish in 2 and 3, and then 4 is the final 9 swap or switch, and then basically a Pagonging until final 5. So this is this starts this next era of the show of, okay, OG tribal lines shouldn't mean anything because we didn't pick them. Like we're just here. Do you see this season as like the next step in not the new era, but like the next step of Survivor?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I mean, you could probably point to so many seasons and be like, oh, this is also the next step, and there's small steps, but this was a bigger step. And yeah, you would rank it 2 of those 3. For me, it's one of those 3. It's one of my favorites, and it was the unpredictability of of every episode of not really knowing who was going to go home. And also, I also think this had a good first boot that was shocking. I think it's not the first one to do that, but to have a younger guy go home first, it was unusual and was sort of breaking the mold.
I mean, I think this is the first season. This is the first season where a younger guy goes home. This is the first season of young. I think Ryan was like 22, 23 or something like that. I mean, the fact that we get our first ever, and I feel like people forget this, we have our first ever moment of someone giving the immunity necklace away.
Yes, that is history. Although it's hard to say if that was a good move or not.
So why do you think that she did that? Why do you think that Jenna did that at that moment? Do you think it was?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I wonder if they said it in interviews or something. I mean, shortly, like right before that, she was also talking about quitting, right? I think.
Yeah, so maybe she hoped that if Rob was trying to pull a fast one on them, at least he would pull a fast one on her instead of pulling a fast one on Heidi.
Yeah, and maybe also if you're doing that at Tribal, I mean, not that people wouldn't know if they were planning on voting out Heidi and now they can't. It's very easy to then just vote out Jenna, but it's like hoping for confusion there. I don't know. Yeah, emotional. I feel like that's what it was. It wasn't a good game move, and she very easily could have been the first person voted out after giving up the necklace. She wins. So
yeah, and that Christie vote is it's the only time that I actually got annoyed with Rob the first couple of times I watched this season. Just because I just was rooting so hard against Jenna and Heidi that it's just like, I can't. Why are you doing this? Why are you getting rid of Christie? She deserves to be there over these two. And of course, as I've done rewatches, it's like, okay, well, Christie didn't do herself any favors by, acknowledging, hey, I'm the swing vote. I'm in the driver's seat. I'm this, I'm that. It's like, okay, well, let's deal with that then. And it was very easy for Rob to go to Jen and Heidi and say, hey, if she's not telling us either, let's just deal with it now. And then we'll reevaluate at 5.
I took a game theory class in college, and I wrote a paper on this episode of Survivor of the Christie decision about all the decisions involved.
So what? How long was it, and what it was the? What else? What did you bring up in it?
I don't know. Well, I was just talking because it's like looking at decisions, sort of as mathematical equations, and it's analyzing if you make this decision and this person makes this, and it's like the Nash equilibrium. And I deduced that Rob made the right decision. Now, also with people, it's not always black and white, so there's complications. But I was like, if this person does this, then this person should do that, and it's in their best interest to do this. But yeah, I feel like he did the right thing because of the uncertainty of Christie. Now, what was in Christie's best interest would be to not act like the way she did to Rob and not be open about her uncertainty about what she was going to do. And you could say that, she got a little cocky thinking that she was like in charge of the vote. And I think she got a little power hungry and she liked having that power and seeing people scoring. But I think that's, if she had just told Rob that she was with him but still made up the decision separately, they both would have been in better positions.
Yeah. And to this question, I do think that Rob just had a way with words out there. Obviously, we're not seeing everything, but I do feel like he was able to get back in their good graces by, phrasing things that would, appeal to Jenna and Heidi in that situation, with them both knowing full well, hey, we have to trust him because we can't really trust anyone else because a lot of these folks are either not playing the game or they're not playing the game like him. And it would be harder for us to get the other people to flip when we know we can get a flipper to flip back over to us, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, also they have Christy, who's not even telling them that she's fully with them, and then you have Rob, who is with them, saying he's with them, and I don't know. I feel like in the moment, I feel like they felt like he was genuine, and he was genuine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I won't say this
the
was Rob's
biggest
mistake.
mistake.
I won't say it was a mistake only because, so if you get rid of it, let's say they actually make this happen and they get rid of, it would be Jenna in this situation because Heidi would have had the necklace. So Jenna goes home. Then we get to a final five situation where, Rob can still stay with his guys, or he can go to Heidi and say, let's get Christy and let's go. I think no matter what, none of these people are taking Rob to the end. Let's say Rob does make it to final three. I don't think anyone takes him to the end, so it doesn't. He would have to win final three immunity for it to be, So I don't think that it was a mistake, only because I think the ending will always be the same.
Well,
Does
yeah,
that make sense? Or
also, it's like I think it's important to look at mistakes based on the information that the player has when they're making these decisions, and then when you look at the information he has, it's a good decision. I don't necessarily like to look at mistakes as like after the fact, like, oh, she did vote with him, so it was a mistake. But I think she could have very easily voted the other way. And Rob is a player that doesn't like things to be out of his control, and I think that that's smart and put the control in his own hands and control his own destiny. I would say maybe his biggest mistake was not working on Matt more and not maybe controlling Matt's perception of the game, because Matt started to think that he could win and that they were both take him to the end. And if Rob maybe had built Matt up more that he could win and he could beat him, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a way to do that. There's a way to get inside Matt's head and make Matt think that if he wins the final immunity and takes Rob, like he needs to convince Matt that Jenna's the one to beat, not him. And if they're both at the end, that Matt has a good shot. And I think if he had worked on that and gotten Matt to believe that, then he wins the game. What do you think?
I do agree. I won't say mistake because I think that he played a clean game, whatever that means. But I do think that if we were to point out things, yeah, he could have made that relationship with Matt a little bit better because if Matt wins the challenge, which I fully believe he could have won that final three challenge,
yeah,
and say, hey, even if you can, take me because you're going to lose to Jenna. And I think because Rob had such a way with words that he could have done that. But I think that at a certain point, he even says, I've done everything that I can up to this point. Now it's all I have to rely on Matt to finish this job. And Matt doesn't finish the job because Matt has this mentality of, well, if I lose, both of these people are going to take me. And so I think there's at that point they're on two different wavelengths. What should happen or what they're hoping will happen next. And just when Matt drops in that challenge and Rob immediately goes, Jenna, do you want to make a deal? And she's like, no. It's like, man, like I felt for him. I felt for him in that moment because it's like, yeah, you just played about as great a game as you can, and now your game is in jeopardy, and you can't pull a Vesepia and try to get Nalia in that situation, but you can't get Jenna to do this move. She wants to beat you.
Yeah. And I love that he goes from trying to make a deal of like, hey, step down, I'll take you, to then like as he's getting more tired, it's like if I'll step down and you can take me. Like he see the desperation. And I think I would be the same way. I would be the same way. Yeah.
And and you can tell he knows what's about to happen. It's not the biggest surprise to us as the audience. Or I think the reason that they kept the part about Jenna saying she wants to take the better person to the end, the only reason they kept that in the final product is to make the audience think, oh, maybe. It's like, well, no. We know that Rob is going to go home here. There is no way that she's taking him to the end.
Yeah. But there also was that plot earlier in the season where yeah, after the family visit, like where Rob's like, oh, I think I need to get rid of Matt because I think he's too big of a threat to win. Um, I don't know. I feel like yeah, that could have been used to build Matt up more. Um, I think yeah, but anyway, it played out the way it did, and
It played out the way exactly. It played out the way it did. I think that Amazon is still. I mean, it's a top 15 season for me at this point. I am going to go ahead and give it a 4.25 out of 5. This time around, I think last time I gave it maybe like a 4.25 or a 4. For 4.25 out of 5, I think that it's
pretty good.
one like leading coming off of Thailand and going into Pearl Islands. This is a great palate cleanser for Thailand, and it's a great segue into Pearl Islands.
Yeah.
And the both returnees from this season are two people that we actually do enjoy in All Stars, which isn't the case for 1 through 5 and 7. So two more questions, and we're it's so top no so so right now my rankings 1 through 6 would be blah blah blah. It would be Thailand, and we'll go over tomorrow because it'll be a week at that point. We'll go over tomorrow, but Thailand's at the bottom still.
Yeah, where it should be.
Where it should be. Yeah, Thailand will probably always be at the bottom. We've had two returnees come back from the season. Do you think they were the right two? And without going into the final question, do you think they were the right two? And do you think there should have been more in any of the returnee seasons that we've had so far?
I guess I would say they are the right two because you got the winner and the best player. So like I feel like if you're picking two people from any season, sometimes the winner is the best player. Not to say that I don't like the conversation about or a winner is deserving. If you win, you deserve to win.
You win.
But
You win.
I like to say that sometimes the winner didn't play the best game. That's how I view it, and sometimes it did. But that's all. It's also just my opinion. But
I agree with you.
Yeah. So I think if you take the best player and the winner, you did a good job. I'm just sad because I feel like Dina played great and she had so much potential. And sometimes it's fun to bring back the players who didn't reach their full potential. Maybe like a Kelly Wentworth.
Yes, and I agree with you. I think that the best player, the winner, and sometimes the best character. Now, it just so happened that two of those three are one person this season.
Yeah.
And then Jenna. And I do think that those are the right two people. But I'd also agree that Dina, in my opinion, could have found a spot on a season at some point. Now to the next question, which once again I will preface it by saying I do not think that anyone pre-season 33 will be on season 50. If there were to be a returnee from this season on season 50, whether they've returned already or not, are there people that you are like dying to see come back for 50 from this season?
Oh, dying to see come. I mean, I would love to see Rob. I don't think he's gonna come back, but I would love to see Rob play again. But I think he's very happy just podcasting about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think
what might be more likely is maybe seeing Rob on the Traders. Maybe that's more likely.
I wouldn't mind seeing Rob on the Trader, but I would say that I agree with you. Like Rob's really the only person that I would really want to see come back for 50 at least. Now, if they announced that there might be someone from Amazon coming back that's not Rob, I would be intrigued to see who they would who would be. I would assume it would probably be like Heidi or something because that's the thing with a lot of these older seasons is it was 20 plus years ago.
So long ago. Like I'd love to see Dina back. I don't think
Dina would be in her late 50s.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
I feel like you would have a better I feel like you would have a more insight on that.
I don't think Rob does want to play again. I think he's very happy not playing. But yeah, like I said, maybe something like the Traders or something like that. I feel like he would be open to maybe doing something. I know there was some talk about. Remember when they did the Amazing Race, and like they had like survivors,
Yeah,
brothers,
because they had like
racers. Wasn't that
Eliza.
a weird thing of like who's better at the Amazing Race, Survivor, Big Brothers, or Amazing Race players? And it's like,
Was like didn't they
probably
do that
Amazing
with the
Race
challenge
players.
too? They did that with the challenge, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Maybe the people that have done it before would be good at it.
Yeah, go figure.
But
Um,
I feel like there was talk about maybe Rob doing that, but Nicole was pregnant at the time, so he did not go do that.
I, even if
Oh,
Matt
Matt,
knew how to play, yeah, I don't think that. Once again, I don't think anyone's begging for Matt to come back.
and the problem with Matt isn't knowing how to play. I feel like he learned a lot from Rob during the course of the season, and he got a better grasp of it. But what you can't really teach is just self awareness.
The social skills.
Yeah, the social skills. He'll never quite have those, but he still seems like a very nice guy. But I
Matt's
don't think
machete has a better
Survivor.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah, Survivor isn't his game. He would. I don't know. Maybe he'd do better on Deal or No Deal Island.
Or Naked and Afraid or something like that.
Yeah.
But to wrap this up, because I have to get through like 3 episodes of Pearl Islands tonight because my schedule is now all screwed.
Well, I love the premiere of Pearl Islands. It's great.
Oh yes, I have it queued up. It's all ready to go. So I'm excited for Pearl Islands. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me. But before we go, I just want to mention, because I realized we didn't talk about it, but Jeff Probst on the jet skiing to New York.
Oh my gosh. How did I put the video on my Snapchat and I left the caption. I hope he gets on a jet ski when
that's another reason. That's another reason why the season's so great. Like it is
the best. Besides Australia with the helicopter, because it was the first time he did it, I think the jet ski is the best. Like going into Final Tribal,
and then he's riding the subway, and I love all of that so much. It's so funny.
I think the cheesiest part, I mean, of course, it's when he stops and looks at the Statue of Liberty and like is just appreciating it. It's like, all right, man, I get it.
Yeah, but it's on. They're in on the joke. They're in on the ridiculousness of it. I think it feels self-aware, and it's so funny, and I can't get enough of that. And I'm so sad that we don't. I want that every season, but now we don't even have the live finale. So there's nowhere for him to even go. But that would be a wish more than like a person on season 50. I want to bring that back.
I want to bring back the jet ski.
Please do that. I don't know. I don't know how many seasons Jeff has left, but I would love to get another moment like that before.
Because he's in his 60s now, so yeah. I mean,
I'd like him to go as long as he can, but I really want another moment like that.
I mean that could. I don't think that's actually true, but that it might as well be. There are so many things, and I've been realizing this as I've finished every pod for this. It's like, oh man, I forgot to talk about this. I forgot to talk about that. Jeff on the jet ski. I'm so glad you brought up because the last thing that I saw before we went live or after the votes. Jeff on the jet ski, and the only reason that's always stood out to me is because of Cass's comment in Second Chances, where she's like, "Oh, I hope he gets on a jet. I hope he gets on a jet ski." It's so funny. It's so funny. Falling. I don't think they're going to do Fallen Comrades anymore. I feel like with everything that happened in Africa, I think they just kind of tried to avoid it after Marquesas, because we don't think we see Fallen Comrades again after that.
I think there was a season where they did it and then it didn't make the final cut.
Oh wow, okay.
I think I could be mistaken. I remember reading about it, and I could see them maybe doing that again. Maybe they film it and maybe it makes it. Well, I mean, you could say it's more likely to return with these hour and a half long episodes, but it still hasn't. It still hasn't. But I always love the Fallen Comrades because it's nice to look back and remember all the people on the season.
Oh no, that's yeah. So I think Fallen Comrades is the challenge. I think rites of passage is where they go.
Patrick,
I think Fallen Comrades is the challenge that Vesepia won in Marquesas, where you just have to know
Oh
more
yes.
about. Yeah,
No, they have
I think
done that.
because of what
They have
happened
done
in
that.
Africa,
No, they've done that again. I'm pretty sure.
they've since.
I'm pretty sure. But listen, I was wrong about what it was called, so I could
Oh,
be
I
wrong.
mean that's fair, but I mean I'll find out in the next few days if that's the case or not. But they have, at least on this rewatch, they haven't done it since Marquesas, which is just Thailand. But I don't need to know more about those people anyway. And we get that Penny question at Final Tribal in Thailand where she asked Clay and Brian,
It was
"What
in
do you
Saint
know about?"
Mondel, sir. It was also in
Okay, so we've got a while before before we get there again. We've got about 3 weeks. Um, but we will wrap it up now. Alex, any final thoughts on Amazon besides it being one of your favorites and you wearing the Jacare buff?
yeah.
Any final thoughts on it?
Really love this season. I feel like this season is a great season for people to watch who want to learn how to play Survivor. I don't know. Obviously, there's lots of different ways, but just the Rob's flexibility, his social game. I really love a lot of his decision making throughout the season, and yeah, I think it's great to learn how to play, and it's fun to watch, and I would recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that because we don't get another screen hog, but this screen hog in a good way here, we don't get another screen hog like this again until 19. I think that just shows the impact that Rob had on the show, and I think that that is one of many reasons that he has been able to gain this cult following and large actual following since the show ended, because people care about his opinion, and he can get people along the way to say, hey, join up and we'll talk about this, we'll talk about that. Rob's always been one of my favorite players. I know some people think, oh, he's overrated because of All Stars. It's like, yeah, it's good that he went home early in All Stars. It's very good that he went home in All Stars because he didn't need to be around the mess.
Well, maybe if he was there, it wouldn't have happened.
Sure, sure, but Alex, we're having you back one more time, right? I think
Maybe I'm a maybe. I gave you 2 potential dates. We'll see.
Okay.
I might be back. I might be back.
Okay. Well, Alex, if this is our last time, thank you so much. Oh, well, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to do some plugs. Or how?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How
Plug.
many people do
Plug
we have
away.
watching? What, can I plug some stuff? Is that?
Oh, plug away.
Well, I got my. I think it works because it's men versus women. But I have a short film called Guy Meets Girl that's going to be at the Lighthouse Film Festival in Long Beach Island, New Jersey, next weekend, June 9th. You can go on the website at lighthousefilmfestival.com and look up Guy Meets Girl for tickets. And then also next week, Rob and I are re-releasing the web series we did many years ago called Reality Game Masters. And so we're going to re-release a new version of that called Reality Game Masters Remastered, with with never before seen footage, higher quality, and even surprise cameos. So everyone's watching, look out for that next week, maybe Tuesday. So keep an eye out and please watch it when it comes out.
If you send me the links afterwards, I can put those in these posts. So
Great.
I'm looking forward to it, especially with everything we've talked about off of this. But Alex, thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
And we will see the rest of you on. Oh, actually, thank you everyone in the chat as always. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to Pearl Islands with y'all tomorrow. We'll see y'all on the other side.